how's it going YouTube? Today we're gonna talk about some of the new Scourge changes because GGG finally decided to update the reward structure for Scourge League to make it more rewarding. So we'll be able to see how exactly they are able to achieve this goal. And right here I'm running a Scourge map with Scarabs. I bought this map for 1 Exalt, and by my calculations it was pretty obvious that you end up making more than 1 Exalt. So it does seem like this league might be a little bit of a repeat of Ultimatum League, where you could potentially make a lot of profit by having a live search going, where you just snipe up all of the Scourge maps that have like 6 additional scarabs per rare Scourge mob. Now this method is quite profitable, but you do have to take into account that you do sell a lot of the scarabs, and it takes a while to sell them, or you can just sell them in bulk maybe. But the league does feel a lot better to play, so we're going to talk about what exactly they changed and how this might impact the economy, because a lot of people think that this will lead to a lot more scarabs and simulacrums and all sorts of legion on the market. But that's probably a good thing. This does provide another avenue for people who can't invest into like Nemesis 3 or Delirium Mirror to be able to farm currency. And it's pretty fun to try to bake the map and see what you get, because that's pretty much what PoE needs. It needs like different league mechanics to make the game feel a little bit different than just playing the base game 24/7 and every single league. But let's get straight into the gear. I did make some pretty big changes to the build that should help everyone out, and I do think that this chest piece and amulet that I'm using are completely overpowered and game changing for this build. Now you might notice that my character is only at 4.5k HP, and last time I had around like 5.5, 5.6. So how is it possible that I was able to level from 95 to 96 without ever dying, but have 1k lower HP? And the answer to this question is I changed up the gear, and I'm using something called the Brass Dome. And now this chest was actually changed in this recent patch. I think it had some downsides before, where you would have less movement speed. You wouldn't be able to block attacks anymore. So they changed that out. They lowered the armor value of the chest, but it still has 4k armor. And they gave it 5% max LE resist. And then it makes it so that strength no longer provides bonus to maximum life, which is pretty bad, because you can see here that we get around 118 strength, 118 life from our strafe. So if you actually take off this chest, we're actually at 4891, and putting on this chest actually decreases our life. However, we do get the max LE res, we do get 4k armor, and we also do not take extra damage from critical strikes. Now what this means is that you can see our defenses are at 82, 83, 83. So they're almost kind of like an aura stacker. And more importantly, we have 36k armor, and we have 42k while mapping, and it goes up to like 45, 50k. So all in all, it's definitely worth running this chest if you look at the EHP on POB, or you play the game and just feel what it feels like to play with the Brass Dome on and have this extra armor for Molten Shell and have this extra elemental resist for elemental damage in general. You will feel that this character feels so much tankier, and the main thing that will kill you is chaos damage if you have bad chaos res. So right now the main goal is to try to find a way to fix my chaos res, whether it's through better gear. Now if you can see here, I was able to finally make this pair of gloves, and it was quite a disaster. I don't think I've ever awakened orb something and got something so disgustingly, like, it just makes me want to vomit looking at this item. So this is strikes to additional nearby enemies, awaken orb together with +1 maximum frenzy, and I end up getting 12 armor. And I reforced the suffixes while keeping prefixes, and I got 5 mana gained on kill. So I decided to craft on 27 int. This will probably be sold to some POB warrior raider who wants a +1 frenzy, but this item to me is dead, and I will have to recraft this once I get more money. Now this really illustrates the danger of Awakened Orbing 2 prefixes or 2 suffixes together. More often than not, you're going to get a prefix with it. I think it's like a 70 to 80% chance to get it. So that means that in this case that you won't be able to craft life or multi-mod life onto it, which means that this is pretty much like a glass cannon item. Another thing to note is when you buy the spike gloves, if you care enough, is that there is a hidden armor roll. So this is 246 out of 220 to 253. So when you're trying to make this pair of gloves, ideally, if you do get really lucky and hit a mirror pair, you want to have the number as high as possible, because re-rolling it with the Sacred Orb could be very expensive. Now next, this item, I actually kind of upgraded it a little bit. I did get a new claw. My last claw has some mana and fire res. Now this claw has, I think, a T1 lightning roll with essences, and then I crafted the cold damage roll, and it has attack speed, it has some accuracy, allowing me to drop the accuracy on the gloves, and also has some crit multi. So all in all, it's a very strong item, and I could potentially try to improve it, but I think this item is just good enough for now, and I will probably just buy a claw straight up. Now for people who are asking how to craft a claw, the easiest way to make the best claw possible is to fracture 30% attack speed, and this will allow you to just spam essences and make a pretty good claw really easily. This build scales amazingly well with attack speed, and attack speed is by far the most important thing. Now this helm is still disgusting. I will upgrade to a Blizzard Crown one day. There's a lot of upgrades that I will be doing. And this Red Blade banner, now for people who are lacking resist, this is a pretty easy way to get some easy resist, and it is to find the downside of being strength requirement. This item needs 37 extra strength, but for us we have, what is it, like 236 strength, so this pretty much just gives us 20% lightning resist for free, and this means that we have more resist, and there's no downside at all. And pretty much I think this only cost me 20 chaos, so it's pretty affordable. Now here, the same ring didn't really change it, same Mark of the Elder Ring. And Mark of the Elder Ring is something else that's getting so cheap now. As you can see, it's 42 chaos, that you could probably consider putting it into the Krangle and try to get a better implicit than 40, and try to get a better roll on it. And the nice part about the Krangling is that most uniques will have a Krangle mod on it, because it is super easy to do. So this chest here, I could theoretically put into here and get something like this is just troll. It's like cancels each other out. But basically, this chest can be improved a lot, and so can a ring, by using the leak mechanic. And that's the nice part about the leak mechanic, is if you use an item that's like easily replaceable, like as long as you have the money, then you can pretty much min-max your build quite substantially until you get something really good. Now the gloves we already talked about, it was a complete disaster. The belt, you could also Krangle it, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that because that's a little scary. Now the boots, I am going to be crafting an elevated tailwind and elevated onslaught pair of boots, because it's just that good. And right now, crafting those items are not too bad, because Ashling is relatively cheap, and so is Awakened Orbs and Maven. So getting elevated tailwind, elevated onslaught early on will be really nice. And that's probably what I'm going to work towards next. Now this amulet right here, I wanted to actually talk about separately, because it is just that overpowered, and I was actually able to buy this amulet for 20 exalts. So if you could look at my pop here, my damage is up to 13 million. Now you might be wondering what changed since yesterday, when it was only at like 6 to 7 or 8 mil. Now the main thing I changed is, first I got Spike Gloves, so that gives you 20% melee damage and an extra Frenzy Charge. But more importantly, I got this amulet, which is one of the best items in the game currently, at least for attack builds, and any build that you can go here. So this is pretty much what determines if the amulet will be the best amulet in the game. All you have to do is you need to look at if adding another gem link. So I already have Awakened added lightning damage in. So let's say I took off this amulet. So we put this to none. So if we add in another gem link here, if it says that it will give you 40% damage, this amulet will be unbeatable in any scenario. So what this amulet does is that it adds in an extra gem link to your body armor. So if you're using like a bow or something, or you're using a 4-link, 8-link helm, then this amulet will not work for you. So if you're playing like CF bow, the tornado shot build, then this amulet is not going to be good for you, because socketed support gems can only support skills from your body armor. So what this means, it turns your body armor into a 7-link. Now here you can see I have 8.1 million. So you can see Since you're playing an attack build, there's a lot of different multipliers, especially an attack elemental build or melee elemental build. There's a lot of different support gems that benefit us. So you can see here, Ruthless is 32%. Elemental Focus is Troll, so we won't be using it. 41% for Awaken added lightning damage. Hypothermia is 30%. So not every single build will be able to utilize this amulet to its full potential, but for this build, for instance, the full potential will be realized because we are able to use a gem link that is otherwise unusable because we're limited on our gem links. That gives us 40% more damage. Now 8 million to 13 million is probably absolutely crazy. It nearly doubles our damage. And you might be wondering, how much is this amulet? Because this amulet is actually just crazy, and it also gives us on top the potential to have 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 23, almost 100, like 130% resist once you have the catalyst. And I should probably catalyze it all the way up, but I'm poor after buying this amulet. So not only does this amulet provide you with the most damage in the game, around 40% more damage, it also provides you with a bunch of resist, allowing you to fix your resist for a build that's super resist starved. Now, the downside is it doesn't have any life on it, and that's pretty much the biggest thing. But other than that, it is by far one of the most powerful items or uniques that have ever been introduced if your build can take advantage of the extra gem link. Now, for this case, before you try to go buy one, I do have some bad news. And it's the fact that this item right now is probably the rarest item in the game. I don't even know why it's so rare, but it's actually more rare than Mage Blood. If you have it as show low confidence, you can see here that I don't even see it. It's that rare. It's just not there. But basically, the item does not exist. So let's see. What is it called? Ooh, the tolls. But basically, if you actually try to use it on Awaken PoE trade, you cannot find this amulet at the moment. And I don't really know when it was. Oh wait, there's someone selling it for 50x. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly how much this will cost because there's so few. There's one total on the server. And it really just depends on if anyone wants to buy this for 50x. This person could have easily have listed it at 25 or 30x. Now, personally, for me, I bought this amulet for 20 exalts, and I do know a lot of you guys will probably want to buy this amulet because having it Awaken added lightning damage is huge. Once you get to level 5, it actually adds an extra level on your lightning strike, so you can get a level 22 lightning strike. So, just wanted to share with you guys about this because I truly believe that this amulet is probably very overlooked for a lot of builds, but it just happens that our build is able to take advantage of this amulet to its fullest potential. I even imported some amulets from standard with legacy crit multi, and this was actually able to beat it while at the same time giving us some resist that those amulets would never be able to provide. So just keep in mind that this amulet is a huge upgrade, and if you can afford it or you find someone who sells it for cheap or they don't really know how much it's worth, so easily someone could buy it and could drop it and they wouldn't really know how much it's worth because there's none up and you can buy it for like 10-20x. I think it's probably one of the best purchases you can make. Now, last night I was trying to shop for a purchase, right? I found some mirror worthy claws, like 50-60x claws, and it still lost out to this amulet. So even if I upgraded my claw to be perfect all T1s, it would be pale in comparison to getting this amulet. But basically, really cool, unique item. I'm really glad they introduced the uniques that are super strong this league, like Mage Blood, that kind of shakes up the meta a little bit and gives you a different option for super endgame builds. Now, GGG did finally make some changes to Path of Exile Scourge League to change the rewards. So basically, they say it's too difficult to create enough Scourge maps, and they are changing this to make the corruptions be a lot faster, so it'll pretty much take you half the time to transform your Scourge maps up. So this means that there'll be a lot more Scourge maps, so this thing is super good. And then here, there's not enough incentive for facing the difficulty of staying inside a nightmare for extended periods of time. They doubled the item quantity and removed any diminishing returns. Now, I've personally played the new patch, and I haven't really noticed anything from the items. being dropped more. I guess it could be dropping more Scourge rares, and I just don't pick those items up or have it shown on the filter. So I don't think this change really does much, but could be broken with group quant perhaps, because it does increase the item quantity. And here is actually the biggest thing. Scourge maps are not rewarding enough in proportion to the level of risk they propose. So this thing is that they're going to increase the rewards from the Scourge maps. So what this means is that Scourge maps can no longer generate the following modifiers: item quantity, item rarity, pack size, and experience. So what this means is that the only modifiers you get are going to be from plus X additional item types. So that means you can search this on PoE trade. Let's go here. So if you wanted to see to buy Scourge maps, you can go to rare Scourge maps, and you can see here rare Scourge maps drops additional unique item, additional map. So that means every single time you upgrade your map, you'll be able to get an improvement upon your map of rare Scourge monsters drop a certain amount of stuff. Now the best ones for the maps are always going to be Expedition Currency, Simulacrum Splinters, and Scarabs, and I think those are by far the best. I think Tainted Currency is going to be okay, but Expedition Currency, Simulacrum Splinters, and Scarabs are the big money makers in my opinion. But before, say, when you want to upgrade the map, you would be able to get random mods like player lose 900 life, so you wouldn't always be guaranteed to get the mod rare Scourge monsters drops, yada yada. So this is going to be a huge change in terms of the amount of rewards that's going to be generated from the Scourge maps. So the next problem they said is it's too difficult to find powerful pre-Scourged items while inside the Nightmare. So what you're going to do is dramatically increase the tier of Scourge modifiers you find on pre-Scourged items, especially while on maps. For example, you will now find approximately twice as many tier 3 Scourge items as before in maps. Now here's where I have a problem with all of this. It doesn't matter what tier the Scourge modifier is. When you go into a map and you see the Scourge rares, the reason why you never picked up any of those items is because they're not on smart loot. So those items have some horrible mods on it, and more importantly, you can't re-roll the mods no matter what you do. So all those items will still be hidden on my filter. Now, even though this is technically kind of a problem, the real problem is the lack of implementation of smart loot. And the fact of the matter is all of the items on the ground have terrible, terrible mods. And it has like 10 life, random resist, and some thorns. So big takeaway from all of this is that Scourge maps are going to be super rewarding. And what this will also mean is that this will probably lead to a bunch of simulacrums, bunch of scarabs, bunch of expedition currencies, and pretty much everything will be much more available. But we will see how this impacts the economy. I do think that Nemesis currency or Nemesis 3 will still be the best money making method in the game because of the fact that Awakened Sextants are so cheap. And as long as the Awakened Sextants are around like 2 chaos or 1.5 chaos, Nemesis currencies should still be the best. Another thing you could possibly do with the changes to the new league is to try to buy maps. So I have a save here. You can try to buy maps, see people who like underprice it. So you can see here, this person just posted one. And you can set your own search parameters for what you want to do. And you can count to see which ones you want. And that could be another way to make some money. So that's just some fast ways to utilize the new league mechanic. Another way is that you can bake your own maps, run some super fast map, and Scourge it up all the way to 10. And pretty much you just want to get some expedition currency, scarabs, or simulacrum splinters. So overall, the league should be a lot more fun, and I do think that this was a very good change. I do know that player retention is a lot lower, but I do think I will be enjoying the league a lot more. So now I'm going to showcase some footage from this build doing some Delirium Tropical Island, because I was actually able to do a few today, and it was actually pretty fun farming Legion. Anyhow, I hope the video showcases or the boss kill showcase that this build is very, very fast, and I did actually add a little tech. I will include it in the next video, but it does involve Withering Step, and so pretty much it allows us to cancel our elusive so that we can, have it at max effect the whole time. I did change the tree up a little bit, and I'll go over the tree changes in the next video. But basically, we take these elusive effect nodes, and these are actually a dagger mastery, and it's actually a huge game changer, and the build feels a lot faster. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more mirrors and exalts than I do, and that you're enjoying the new league changes. And I'll see you next time. Bye.